In this video, I'm going to be telling you how to pick the correct lines, or how to find the best lines depending on what trail you're riding. I'll see you at the trails. In this video, we're going to be looking at 3 different things. Firstly, we're going to be looking at picking a roller or a berm, or how to pick the best one out of those 2. Secondly, we're going to be looking at the best line to take in the jump. So the best takeoff, where's the bit where you get the most air and the fastest speed. And then we're going to be looking at where's the safest spot to land and where's the safest spot where we can carry the most speed. This will ensure we go really fast down the trail. Finally, we're going to be looking at terrain. So as an example for terrain, you could either go for a rock garden or either go with some wet, soggy and slippy tree roots. What would you rather? Let's start with the first option, and that was, would you rather pick a roller or a berm, for example? You can see there's 2 lines we can take, so we can either go over the roller and tight into the berm, or we can either go round the berm into the next berm. If we go for the section with both berms, that creates an S-bend style section of a trail. If we went for the roller or jump, that means we've created a really fun section of trail where you could jump into the berm. This joins the sections together really well as it makes them feel really flowy. Although it's more technical, you might have a better fun factor. We can tell this line is not so good as I'm skidding round the bend or berm. Now let's continue. I hope you learned something from part 1, and now let's move on to part 2, which is line choice on a jump. So if you pick the correct line on a jump, how you do it as safe as possible and how you do it carrying the most speed. So we can look at where to start and land to improve our technique on that. Also, we're going to look at what not to do when jumping. Firstly, let's start how to find the best line when you come into the jump. What's nice to see on this jump is a really long line in, and it's not too bumpy or gravelly, so then you don't slide out when you have to turn to the jump. This is perfect for what you want for a jump. But if you take a look at some of the other lines, they're not so kind treating you. Let's see what the other lines are actually like. You can see how many routes are over this trail and how much less speed you can carry to the jump. There's quite a few lines we can take on this jump as it's so wide. First line we can take is to the left of the jump and is a bit smaller than the middle and the right of the jump. This will make us get less air and will be a bit nicer if you're on a hardtail. The next line is straight down the middle. This is a line that I personally like to take as it's smoother than the right and it's quicker than the left. The final line we can take is to the right. This line will make us get the most air and will be the hardest to ride. The run-up is not as nice as the middle and the left side, but this line will ensure we take the most speed and the most air. But sometimes you have to be careful to not get too much air. Now we're going to look at landing. Landing a jump is one of the most important things of jumping. If you can get in the air, but you can't land, that can't be a proper jump as you crashed at the end. So before you jump, check the landing and check that it's safe and you know where to go. You will know where to go and be able to pick the best line because I'm going to tell you now. If you come from the outside of the jump, you need to join the middle of the path, then you can continue down the rest of the trail. If you come from the middle of the jump, you will need to continue straight on down the middle of the trail. If you came from the right of the jump, you will need to move into the middle of the trail. Now let's look at what not to do when jumping. This clip is a perfect example of what not to do. You can see that I wasn't trying to help my bike get air at all. My bike nosedived back down to the ground. This is not a good skill to learn, especially if you do it on big jumps, as you're more likely to go over the handlebars. So it's good to learn this skill while the jumps are small, not when you're getting bigger and they're getting even harder. Also, I have to point out how happy I am when I'm doing the wrong technique. Now let's talk about terrain. Difficult terrain can consist of rocks, tree roots which are very wet, and gravel. Those horrible rim brakes. Now let's look at some more technical terrain. Bear in mind this footage was from a long time ago and my tyres were not very grippy and my brakes were so loud. We can see how many wet, slippy tree roots are on the trail. Here are some slippy tree roots which are most likely to slide you out to the side of the trail. Let's see what happens to me. What happened is my front wheel went over okay and my rear wheel slid out due to the slippy tree roots. Cycling over wet roots is really hard, so don't go hard on yourself if you fall over. In this video, you've learned how to pick the best line, that's like, for example, a roll or a berm, and how to go over a jump and how to land it safely and take off safely. And you've also learned about terrain and route. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you learned something useful and make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.